Farmers Trade Trade Group, and this is your end of day market recap for Monday, October 6th. Happy Monday, everybody. Happy Monday for the markets. Happy Monday for anybody who's holding AMD. Congrats if you were holding AMD today. That's a huge score today. Something like that can, essentially make your month. Maybe even more than that. So, congrats. I did not hold any AMD, but I will come out and be the first one to say that, regardless of all the victory laps that you probably see. I did not own any AMD, but I will say this once again, it got the growth stocks to go. It got the AI trade to go, which you may have thought at the end of the week that, oh, geez, some things are kind of coming down a little bit. Maybe we're going to take a little bit of a breather in that trade. And it's been just an awesome kind of, way that this market has been going, where we just continually hear about these different deals, whether it's between something like OpenAI making an investment or the administration making an investment. And we've got another one after the close today, another small cap name, which is TMQ. I think that stock's up over 100%. In the after hours, small stock TMQ. That's like it was around like a $2 stock. Now trading about 470 after hours. So that's kind of what's been fueling the market. I don't know. I don't have an answer for you in terms of when that funneling, different deals and money stops. But it's giving us some good themes to kind of think about, and a number of different stories that the market is building on. So I will go through some of those. I had a great day today, even though I did not have any AMD. It would have been a nice kicker to have, some calls socked away someplace, but unfortunately, I did not have a position in that. But still, had a really nice day today, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that market reaction today. And just as soon as I read just as soon as I display the risk disclaimer, please read the whole thing here. And obviously, we're just doing this video for education purposes only. So let me talk a little bit about that. Gap up today, right? So I'm going to bring up the AMD chart here in just a second. But before I do that, I'm just going to zoom in a little bit. I know sometimes it's difficult to see the spreadsheet, but before I even just go into the charts, you could see that there's a lot of things here that once again are up over 2-3%, and a lot of these things that are up, I would classify more as risk on. You had uranium stocks. So again, like that theme, that if that AI theme or trade is going to be in effect today with OpenAI going after AMD, for example, you're going to get all these power generation companies to go, data center stocks to go, uranium stocks to go. And then there's a couple of outliers. Quantum stocks actually started the day down. And they powered higher for the day. Look at the clean energy group. Again, like this is something, if you watch my video on Friday or over the weekend, I've been talking about this clean energy trade, which is absolutely on fire. It was up another 3.2% today, just continuing to run. And then aerospace and defense, which again doesn't really have anything to do with that. They have their own story today. Tesla has an event tomorrow. I don't know I wish I had the time of that event for tomorrow, but they possibly tease something about aeronautical, maybe something with ACHR. People are speculating. I came into the long JOBY, which acted well today too. So there are still, so just to kind of hammer this point home, even if you didn't have any AMD today, and if you had some trades in the growth bucket, you did pretty well today. Bitcoin, by the way, cryptos also up 2.1%. So that was very strong. And then there are some things that are not going. Not every. This is, as I mentioned in Friday's video, this is not a go up everything market. You had home builders down 2% today, even though open accelerated, and there's a boatload of calls that were being bought in open today, particularly in the last hour of the day. But home builders are going down. They're down 2%. I cut a trade last week, RKT, which was the right move because that stock was down again today. So let's get to some of the charts, and let me get the right chart. Let me get the right screen up here. But I get it. I think a lot of folks are saying they're looking to say, hey, we've gone pretty decent distance, especially in the growth area of the market. What are the warning signs, or what would be the signals? And I would say keep it simple with this stuff. I would say number one, monitor what the overall market is doing. Right, SPY, while kind of slowing down a little bit, is still above the 5-day moving average, which is easy for to just say, hey, we're trending, we're short-term trending. From time to time, when we've been above this 5-day moving average over the last month or so, while we were above it, we've gotten a little bit extended and then we kind of come back. But right now we're still above, and we're above the value area for the month. The Qs, I would say it's kind of the same thing. And this is, yeah, it's a little bit extended away from the 5-day moving average. And it's also above the value area. IWM, right? Also, maybe a little bit extended in the short term. This kind of got to where we were around Friday's highs, and once again tapered off, but it's still advancing, up 4/10 of a percentage point. And again, a little bit short term extended here. So that's something to be, a little bit mindful of when you're taking new trades. But also, if you're looking for a sell signal, you just don't have anything majorly in the overall market. Everything's above the 5-day moving average. Everything's above the value area for the month. So you could speculate all you want. Now, that's about whether a down move is coming, but for now, just looking at what is, and prices above all these short-term moving averages. Now, that's not the only step here, right? That's the overall market, which looks to be, to me, in pretty good shape. And none of these I think are really getting overbought. I think the Qs, well, the Qs are a little bit, the Qs, like the RSI is about a 71, so not majorly overbought. Now, individual names, make sure that you're monitoring them. Make sure that you have a downside alert on them so that you kind of know what's going on. So let me just bring up, because AMD was the stock of the day. Yeah, I mean, this ran a little bit too far. They started to talk about pre-market, that they're open to other deals. Well, of course they are, right? Meaning, like, OpenAI is not the only deal, but yes, this did. So first of all, like, this made it through. This was a big move today, 23%. Whether it stayed up on the high of the day or not, could this come in and rest in a little bit? It could. I mean, it's just that is such a big move for this stock. I also just want to go through something that I haven't been spending that much time on, but just some of the bigger names, right? I've talked about, I think, in one or two of my videos last week, I talked about how, like, the mega cap names are kind of resting a little bit. I would keep an eye on Microsoft. That's one of the biggest, I think, the biggest green candle that you've had in Microsoft since it reported earnings. Yeah, I think that today's move up 2.17, call it 2.2%, was one of the biggest moves. So that would be interesting if the stock is going to get going. And again, to put these things in, some of these things in perspective, because some names have been running and running and running, but something like this, which is one of the biggest stocks out there, hasn't really done anything all quarter since it reported earnings. It had the gap up. It came in and filled the gap, but the stock really hasn't done much. Google got going a little bit today too. Remember, Google kind of came in a little bit. So you are seeing these little dips that perhaps you can get involved in. Meta, which is not like a favorite stock of mine, but it's taken out two downside VPOCs. I would watch for a move above the 5-day moving average, but if you like to go after things before you get confirmation of a turn, you could basically set a stop down to 692. Now, I think this stock's been under pressure a little bit because of one of the OpenAI apps that has video and so forth. I'm not an expert on this, but I know enough to get by, and I believe that's why Meta has gone down. But it's also decently below the 50-day moving average. If it does rebound, maybe it comes right back up to the bottom of the value area. That also should coincide closely with the 50-day moving average to take targets, right? If you're going to think about buying a dip, you got to also think about where you're selling it. So that's about 4% higher in Meta. Let's talk about some of the groups today. I'm going to talk about, well, let's bring up the semis. The semis, yeah, are extended here. So I would be mindful of that. So while today, and while what we've been seeing so far in October and obviously September as well, is one heck of a rally. Yeah, are we a little bit overbought here? And this is where you have to be a little bit logical, right? You have to say, yes, this chart is extended. The RSI in this is what? an 82. So yeah, I probably would not be looking for major upside further action in the semis right now. Now, just because they're overbought, does that mean that they're going to come crashing down? That's not what we've seen in this market. We've seen a lot of like, okay, take for instance back in here, right? Semis got a little bit extended here. And then notice what happened. They kind of just consolidated a little bit. They kind of ran a little bit below that 5-day moving average, and then they begin to power up again. So that's what I would be looking for at this point too. Is probably a little bit of consolidation. But again, like this is a good thing. Like hopefully you've been able to bank money and earn money on the semiconductors breaking out. And Nvidia, which was I don't think was any major slouch today, but I think, this is a little bit of a check back here to the top of the value area. This is a good looking chart in NVIDIA. That's your break higher, that's your check back and hold. So it was down 1.1%. It's not bad. All right. So semis, yes, they are extended. What about one of my favorite groups that again, not a lot of people are talking about, but the aerospace and defense group. Holy cow, this is also overbought. This is 82, right? And if you were long this ETF or long some names in here, probably want to be taken a little bit off the table here. Look at how extended it's taken off, right? It's way above the 5-day moving average. Again, these aren't negative things. We've gone very far, and this is just a bull market. And if you go through some of these names, one of the strongest names has been AVAV. It got to get, I believe today, it got another street high price target, right? That's what I think got this thing. One of the things that got it going last week too was it had another street high price target. So analysts are jumping over themselves with price targets for some of these names. But look, this is way overbought. This has almost gone straight up vertical, right? So again, like that was another gift today. I do own this in the TTG trend portfolio. Do I want to be taking profits or selling this position? I don't know. I mean, I think this trend is going to go on, but if I had a bigger portion in the TTG trend portfolio, I would probably just, I would probably reduce it. I think I've already reduced it once. So therefore, I'm probably not going to do it again. But, you've got a number of names. Look at KTOS was up again, right? And of course, this name is getting some speculation about the Tesla event tomorrow. Interesting. We did see some call activity in this name last week. ACHR up 17%. Now, remember with this stuff, right? What has been the trade? We went over this just last week. So I hope you don't forget about these principles. So I did take off the majority of my position in JOBY. I bought this on the break out of here, and maybe it continues to go here. But I would get back involved in it on a little bit of an inside day. Sometimes I'm a little bit too cute with that, with taking some of these names off, when they get a little bit extended and they just keep going. But I'm happy to do that for trade. But Tesla, let's go to this chart. What did we learn last week about Tesla? Or if you're not familiar with this, you should be familiar with this because I call it one of the what's the master's quote? It's a tradition on Wall Street like no other. Buy the rumor, sell the news, right? And I know that's not a fun thing to do, right? Traders are having a lot of fun with this market and they want to keep the party going and they don't want to be disciplined. But if you traded in my trading room last week, I took a target at 475 in this thing last week, right? And now once it comes in, it gives you another chance. I don't know why it sold off so viciously on that, but it did and gave you another opportunity if you like Tesla. So you could have reacted. Now tomorrow, I don't know what news they're going to announce. They have some type of an event, but don't you want to think in the back of your mind for something like ACHR that this very well might be buy the rumor, sell the news, right? Or something like this. Again, I don't know what they're going to announce. Maybe they do announce something huge, but I would have in the back of their mind if they don't announce anything with this company, that some of this could be, take some of the profits. Stocks up 17% today. If you're not happy with that, I don't know what, so, and same thing with AMD, by the way. If you're not happy with those moves, I don't know. I don't know what would make you happy, but these are huge moves. So personally, um, when you don't know what they're going to announce and you get this type of a move, I think you have to be selling some into this. Now, again, Say it one more time. I don't know what Tesla's going to announce, but it's beautiful in anticipation of this that I'm able to take some profits. And same thing for both, made some money of this in Joby, and I'm long Tesla too. So I don't know, like I said, I don't know the time of the event, but I will probably, if Tesla's up pre-market, I will probably be looking to trim into that strength, right? And then if it happens to fizzle, then I can kind of go back into it again. And here's what Tesla does look on the daily. I would watch this 451 level in this. All right, so that's a little bit of aerospace, and Tesla. Um, what do I want to talk about next? Probably the quantum stocks. I mean, I trimmed some more. Look at IONQ is up another 8% today. All that nonsense with people taking pictures of their offices and of the quantum names. Who knows even if those pictures are accurate? But look at this, the momentum in this stock right now, up another 8% today, or 7.8%. I did take some more profits here at the top of the value area. I don't have a big position left. I did stick these in the TTG trend portfolio because even though I think that the runway is, I agree, the runway for these names is going to be, I think everybody knows. What is this? That's the one that was already announced, Trilogy. Yeah, so TMQ, I just saw red headline on that. They're going to take a 10% stake in that. So that's the official news. So there's official looks like. Sorry, I'm just typing this into a chat. RGTI, another one that had a nice follow through move too, up another 4%. So again, what is it like? This to me is also signaling for both of these a bit overbought. Again, be logical. These are awesome moves if you caught them, right? But be logical at this point. Maybe trimming a little bit. Heck of a really nice move. And by the way, this thing hardly sold off at all, which we covered last week. So very impressive. Next group, we could talk a little bit about uranium names. I still like this LEU. I still think that the government is very much involved in uranium. And I think maybe this can get up to this 386 VPOC. ACHR, which I was long last week. I had FOMO today, seeing it up about another 9% today, but it did not take out the previous highs today. UUUU is another name. This name I am still long. Didn't move as much, but still up 2% for the day. UEC was another name, still kind of consolidating here. This name was actually down today. I think there's one of these names that were up big. SMR, maybe is NNE, is it? Yeah, it was NNE, which was up the largest today. Nano Nuclear had a big move today. I didn't see what that news was, why it was up 21% and outperformed the others, but I'll look for that. Next group, right? Next. Well, Bitcoin. I think you got to look at, so again, how many groups are we going over here? That, and this one out to new highs. Again, a little bit extended here. I would also watch Ethereum. I think Ethereum is trying to break higher here. It did close above the value area for the month, 35.37. So, if you felt like, and by the way, you can't be in all these trades, right? If you feel like you've missed some of these trades, it's okay. Be patient. Let them come in a little bit. You are starting to see little by little some of these stocks come in, right? Western Digital, right, was down today. Like, thank goodness the stock is down, right? For where do we think it's going? Do we think it's going straight vertical higher? It's made a move from $76 to 136. That's almost a double in a month. So yeah, let this thing come down to like 118, and then maybe, to the top of the value area, or maybe even to the 20-day moving average, and it might set up again. Right. So again, if you're doing this correctly, where you're selling some of these big rips, right, then you could begin to kind of scout for some of these names to maybe come back a little bit. Right. And I think Micron was even, I don't know if Micron came all the way back down. It didn't. It did get an upgrade, but this is another one. Like, for me, I would be letting this thing kind of come down a little bit, maybe even down to the top of the value area or the 20-day moving average, and then it might set up again. So that's kind of what we have going on here, right? And again, just to kind of flash back to what I talked about on Friday, take a look at multiple stocks. Don't do this thing where I made a big point about this, and I'm going to say it again, but don't just look at four or five stocks and make a conclusion about the overall market. That's not how it works. Um, Robinhood. Let this thing come in a little bit, right? Had a red candle today, was down 3%. Yes, it's extended, guys. Let it come in. Maybe if it sets up again down to like 129, whoo, that would be awesome, right? But that doesn't mean that the market is going to like go through a major correction. Just means we've got a lot of names extended, right? And they probably need to rest a little bit. Maybe we get a rotation into some other areas. So I'll leave it there, guys. Great Monday, and again, congrats if you own some of these names that are just on fire. IREN. We can go on and on with some of these names, but look at IREN. What it'd be, but congratulations if you hold this one up another 14%. Right. So again, certain stocks are going to take breathers. Right. That doesn't mean that the market is going to crash, or that doesn't mean that the